Perfect. Okay. Excuse me. So perfect. So quickly, just while we are on this this page here, so I'm just going to explain a little bit about what SPACE is and how it's going to work. So SPACE is a 7-week virtual program designed to help you learn how you can best support your young person through secondary school, their exams, and understanding more about higher education and apprenticeships. This is a free program of events delivered by Study Higher, and we are a partnership of universities, as you know from us four here, further education colleges and other stakeholders working together to provide young people with high quality impartial advice. So that's the key thing, it's the impartialness. We are completely impartial, even though we work at different universities. We're also about giving guidance about educational opportunities too. So our target outreach is for young people in schools years 9 to 13 who live in specific geographical areas across Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire and Swindon. Across your young person's schools, Study Higher delivers many projects like I mentioned earlier, so do keep your eye out for any Study Higher logos that you might see. As I said, we are a free programme, so we're funded by the Office for Students Uni Connect programme, which aims to promote social mobility by encouraging access to higher education for young people from diverse backgrounds. So that's just a little bit in a nutshell about Study Higher, but all of that is also available online if you wanted to read over that bit again. So how it will work. So as you can see, you've all wonderfully got the links that were sent to you via email. These will be sent out each week, either the day before or the day of. I know that sometimes there's a bit of confusion about the links, so it might seem like I'm bombarding you, but I just want to make sure everybody has the correct links, as that is my biggest fear. After that, so within those emails, you'll also have some useful information and topics around that week. Although these sessions are aimed at supporting parents and carers, your young person is very welcome to attend if they wish, as their information will be relevant to them as well. However, we're sort of aiming it towards parents and carers. You'll have a booklet that was sent to you in the post. So this will have information and dates of time for each session like we have in front of us. Please don't worry if you're unable to make it. As you've just seen, we record the webinars and we post them online for you to access at any time. Although they are recorded, the cameras and microphones are always automatically off, so you do not have to worry about that at all. We have a chat function, which is wonderfully being looked after by David today, and we'll answer the questions that you put in there towards the end of the session as a group. We hope this session isn't intimidating. We hope it to be a really chatty session for you guys to feel comfortable in writing any messages that you might have for us. Please do use this and note that, again, none of these questions, you can actually put it on there so they're not visible, so it just comes to us. So please don't be embarrassed, like there's no silly question at all. If we're unable to answer, we don't want to give out the wrong information. So what we'll do is we'll just take down your name and we will find out the correct information from someone who might be able to support us, and then we will put it out in an email so that everybody is aware of that. It will probably follow on from the emails that I send through. Yeah, so we don't want to give away any wrong information. That's the most important thing. So this is your SPACE booklet. So you should have received just one of these. It's one per family, and again, it's structured around the topics that we're covering. These are, of course, for you to keep and to work alongside the sessions. There are some note pages in there as well, because I know the information we might give you might seem like it is, there might be a lot of it, and it is ever changing. You know, each year it will probably change. That's just the nature of it. So if you're here with a young person who might be in year 9, things will be different. But if you're here with a young person who's in years 13, year 12, they might be the same as well. So just keep an eye out on the links that we send in here. There's lots of different ages, like we said, we work from year 9s to 13s, so some information might not be currently relevant to you, but by the time they apply to university, the information in this booklet might have changed. It's correct on time of print. If we continue getting funding, which we really hope we do, then we can continue these workshops next year with the new relevant information as well. You also should have received some revision timetables. So these are for your young person to have to put up in their wall if they're doing their GCSEs or A-levels, to put down some, make a timeline of what they need to do. It sort of helps them with their studying as well. So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to ask you, if you can, is go to this website, www.menti.com, and in there it will ask you to put in a code. If you could put in that code, which is 702957, and then what it does, it will take you to a question which they have here, and I'd like you to answer. You can use it on your text, on your phone, on your computer. What would you like to get out of space? So anything that you can think of that you personally would like to get out of space, and text it in that. What I need to take for A levels for the degree I want to do. Brilliant, general information. Brilliant, thank you very much everyone for putting in. We'll just wait a few more minutes for some more. So what I'd like to do from this bit is to just get a general idea of what you'd like to be covered, so that when it comes to the next sessions, even though we've already created them, is to put in information that be relevant as well. Choosing course at university, what has changed since I went to uni in 1991? Okay, that's a very good one. I can see Pete saying something. The process involved, brilliant. Options other than universities. Okay, Helen will be looking at those. This is great, everyone. Thank you so much. General information like young person needs to do about attending university, the application process. Great. So David will be able to take you through that one. Applying and costing. Yep. So Pete's going to be looking at finances as well. Okay. So another experience in 1989. Trying to gain confidence and reassurance when choosing further career paths. Perfect. What to do to be a teacher. Okay, brilliant. General information finance. That's wonderful, guys. You're very welcome to keep adding to that if you'd like to, because what I'll do is I take this off and I will go and make sure that we have those covered within our sessions as well. We have some really great sessions delivered by Made Training, who are so exciting, and they will be looking at revision techniques. And then we have Positively Mad, who again are an exciting external company who'll be looking at resilience and well-being as well. So those will be covered in there. Please do keep going with those if you'd like to. David, you had a hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a question we've had through. If someone misses a session, will the recordings be available to them?
Absolutely. So as soon as this is done, probably tomorrow actually, I will upload them onto our website, and then in the next week's email it will have the information about where to find them as well, but they'll always be on our Study Higher Space website as well.
Fantastic.
Don't worry. Thanks, David. Brilliant. So there's lots of stuff there that you want covering, which is brilliant. So the main topics that we will be looking at today is we're going to be looking at the routes into university, the different types of study, choosing a subject, choosing a course, and the outside of academics studies as well. So this is our route into HE. It does look a little bit scary, I know, but please don't be scared by it. As you can see, we have 3 different levels of routes. So we have class-based, vocational-based, and work-based. So class-based is usually the more traditional routes into higher education. And just because it means traditional doesn't mean it's the best way in. It just means it's the more traditional way. And currently, so some of you might be doing your GCSEs, which are at a level 2. That's down here in the red. And then it's usually followed by A levels, followed by your undergraduate degree, and then a master's. So your undergraduate degree usually takes 3 years to complete. And then on top of that, a master's degree takes a year. That can be done straight after university if you'd like it to be done, or like myself, who's doing events management at the moment, 10 years after university. It doesn't matter which way you do it round, but some people like to do it straight after university, because getting back into university after 10 years, learning to reference again was tricky, but I got back into it straight away. Then you've got your vocational routes. So these are routes that are more hands-on. So some people learn completely different. Well, we all learn completely differently. Class-based, I would say, are more academic. So that just means that you'll be listening to lectures and you'll be writing down and you'll be learning that way. Then you've got vocational, which are more hands-on, which is while learning while doing. So you've got your BTECs and your T-levels as well, your higher national certificates and your higher national diplomas. As you can see, all of the colours match. So your higher national diploma will be equivalent to an undergraduate degree at year 2. Then you've got your work-based, which are usually apprenticeships and foundation degrees. So these are when students will go into education by learning, by working, by doing things on the job. So apprenticeships will be learning while they're employed, and they will then go perhaps one day a week into university or college to do the more sort of academic side of that area. You've also got foundation degrees. So these are a practical degree for people who perhaps don't want to move away from home, or they want to go to a local college. So for an example, from Oxford Brookes University, we have foundation degrees at Swindon College, and they usually take place on one full day rather than being spread across the week. And that's just because people who choose foundation degrees might have childcare, they might have caring responsibilities, or they might be in employment, so getting out of employment for all the time like that, like at university, might be a little bit tricky for them. Foundation degrees are also cheaper than undergraduate degrees as well. It's worth noting that the fees and the way they're paid back will be changing with the April update, but again, when Pete goes through that, you'll have a bit more information about that. If you wanted to finish your foundation degree there at level 5, that's brilliant. A foundation degree is perfect, but you could top it up if you wanted to. If you can follow that line that goes all the way across to the undergraduate degree 3rd year, you can also top it up and you will graduate with an undergraduate degree. This just works out for some people for the reasons I've stated below. And like I said, if finance is slight worry about yours, it's slightly cheaper as well. But I hope that finance is something that would not be putting you off from attending university. And you can see in the middle also, you've got degree apprenticeships. These are something that are really popular. These are apprenticeships that are paid for and pay for your degree to happen. So you'll be working as an apprentice, but coming into university to do the degree side of it. So again, this is free. This will be paid for by the employee. So if finances is something you're concerned about, then maybe degree apprenticeships are something that you would like to look into. Some people who do degree apprenticeships are the police. You can also do apprenticeships with the NHS as well. So keep an eye out for apprenticeships, but Helen will be going through the vocational routes, the apprenticeships at a later date as well. I know this might seem a bit daunting, but it just gives you a rough idea about the levels that are available. And this is also in your guide that we sent to you in the post. So this just also sort of explains the different degrees you have. So the honours degrees, BA, which is Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Engineering. Like we said, they're usually taught at universities and are usually 2 to 3 to 4 years, depending on the course. Foundation courses, these are designed to help you progress onto a particular honours degree, 1-year diploma. So it might be a prerequisite for a course that you do a foundation course. An example of this would be art. I did art foundation course to get onto a course I needed at university. It just needed me to do that 1 year to then get up to my university degree. You got your foundation degrees, so again, it combines work-based learning with studying and taught at partnership colleges, and they can be 2 to 3 years with the option to top up. And the higher degree apprenticeships, so these are studying and working through an employer and the university and can range from 1 to 5 years as well. So in the chat function, I wonder if you wouldn't mind writing how many higher education providers you think you can choose from within the UK. Any number, put it in the chat. We'll see how many. Who's going to be the first guess? 100. Thank you very much. 700. Thanks, Steve. We'll go for one more. 1,000. 150. 1,000. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So the answer is 395, which is a lot of things to choose from. So it means that there's something out there for everybody, spoiled for choice. It means there definitely will be a provider suited for your young person's needs and aspirations. Between the 4 HEIs that are in this webinar today, each of our universities offer different courses, facilities and support. No HEI is the same. So if it's key that your young person has a look around, attends open days and goes on trips that their schools offer. I actually dropped out of my first university. It wasn't right for me. It was a really hard decision I made, but I applied to Oxford Brookes the year after and it all worked out. but I didn't go to any open days. I just looked online. So I would really recommend going to the city or the town that the university or college is in, because that person, your young person, will be living there, they'll be socializing there. As much as it's important that the education is there, it also has to be somewhere that they feel safe, comfortable, and has things that will excite them and enjoy them. So do have a look at universities if you can, just because it gives you a real good feeling about what the city's like. Here are just an example of many of the universities that are available. I'm sure that you've probably recognised some of the names here, University of Bristol, University of St Andrews. So there will be lots of universities, and we'll have a look in a minute about how to choose your universities and how the universities are very, very different. So this is just a key about sort of where the universities are based. So I'm just going to show you a few universities I've picked out, give you an idea about where they are. It's really worth noting that universities are all over the UK, and some students would like to be as far away as possible from their parents, if possible, during the semesters. But you have to think about the transport and how long it takes to get home. If you're someone like myself who likes to be close to their family and come home at birthdays and weekends, then you might want to be a bit closer. But if you want to go further afield, then that's obviously wonderful too. Have a look at the transport links, and obviously see what is on offer in terms of links for students, because there are student rail cards as well, which are available. It's worth noting that some universities don't allow cars on campus, so that could also be a choice as to whether your young person decides to go away for university really far away or not, because it might be a bit tricky to get home as well. Oh, we've got Swansea University as well. But each of these universities are very different in the way that they work, okay? So like we've got they're all built differently and work in different ways, because here you can see that the University of Oxford is a collegiate university, which means the university is split into different colleges for different subjects. So that's what that one means. Then you have an example of campus based would be Leeds University. This is singular. Everything is in one campus, in one place. Then you have a university such as Oxford Brookes, which has multiple campuses, and they don't need to be in the same city. So Oxford Brookes has got 3 campuses in Oxford. They're spread quite far apart. And then we also have one in Swindon too. When campuses are multiple in the city, it makes it easy as possible for students to travel from place to place. An example of this is Brookes has its own bus service, and it goes from campus to campus and drops off at the facilities and the halls of residence. So that is something that some people really enjoy, because it means that they know that they have a regular route that's easy to access to get to the Students' Union, to get to their campus, and to also drop off in town as well. Then you also have city-based campuses such as Birmingham City. So this is where campuses are spread across the whole city. So they all work differently for all different people, and all young people are looking for different types of experience at university. So it is worth noting these 3 types of universities and if they're suitable for you as well. Some people really like city-based universities because everything's in the city where everything's happening as well. And campus-based, they can be quite rural as well. So it is worth noting that too. Like we said, there's over 300 universities to choose from. Trying to narrow down your choice of university can be hard. So we've got a little list here about how you can do it. So reputation, so where they sit on the league table, that can be important to some people, perhaps where they stand on reputation for that individual subject. You've got the atmosphere. Are the facilities good? Is the environment safe and friendly? For me, the reason I chose Brookes was because it felt comfortable, it appealed to me, I liked the area, and I could imagine myself being really content studying there. Lots of new buildings, and the facilities were fresh and modern, so that's why I chose Oxford Brookes. You might also look at the size, so you might prefer a big campus full of people and energy, or maybe prefer a smaller, quieter university as well. So if you don't like the big campuses, then there are smaller campuses and much quieter ones. The facilities of these are really important. Have they got a library? Is there a gym? Are there local shops? All of these are essential for your young person, as they will want to have access to these things? Will there be somewhere for them to get coffee when they go into their 9 o'clock lecture? Also, some universities have 24-hour libraries, which can be a big thing for students as well. The location, is it secluded or is it close to accommodation, city centres, and are there good transport links like we mentioned before? And also looking at the financial support that's available. So each university will have bursaries and scholarships to assist students with their finances. This will be covered further in our other sessions. But universities have their own bursaries and scholarships, which could be a reason why a young person chooses that university, because that might be appropriate for them. So there's loads of multiple things to think about when you're looking at universities and narrowing them down. With those 6 items that we have there, you would hopefully bring your 395 courses, 395, sorry, really far down, and then you start going to open days, which is where you could really get a feel for it. So even though it seems daunting with the amount of universities that are there, you will slowly see that you will be able to whittle it down to fewer universities as well. So there's loads of things that students can get out of universities, as well as the subjects that they'll be studying. Even though that's the important thing, there are things that they would have on the side as well. So you have your independence. So students, whether they're living at home or whether they are living on campus, there will be different things they do to gain their independence, whether that's cooking or cleaning for themselves, or being in charge of their timetable. You've got your transferable skills, which are a really wonderful thing, which lots of employers like to see when people are going to university, so they can be relevant for future careers. Personal development, so growing as a new person, gaining confidence, and just general growth in yourself. Earnings, so usually with a degree you will be in the higher paid jobs, a better chance anyway, so your earnings will go up. And new experiences, so lots of new people, lots of new friends, life experiences, living in the cities, joining sports clubs and societies, so that's a really good extra added bit onto your education too. And the friendships are something really important, because you will be studying with people who are like-minded to yourself. You will be networking with people who are interested in the same subject area. So it might be that in the future you might come across somebody who you used to go to university with, who is in a job area that you're interested in as well, and you've there got your social networks too. So friendship is really important at university. You will make some of your best friends at university too, and we'll look at some societies later. But societies are something run by the Students' Union, and they are clubs which people join, which they're excited and interested in. And again, that's a really great way of meeting people and new friends. So again, in the chat, I'd like to see how many different courses can students study at undergraduate level. That the wording of that is not that simple. What I mean is, how many different subjects are there to choose from at university level? So again, if you just wouldn't mind popping that in the chat, however many you think there could be. $750, thank you. 1,000, 1,500, more. I'm just going to say yes, a lot. Yeah, definitely a lot. 2,000. Brilliant, thank you everyone. 900. So there are actually 50,000 courses to choose from at university. So there is a lot of courses, and lots of courses there that people are unaware of. Then you must think to yourself, how on earth am I going to choose my one subject, or maybe two if I'm doing a combination course, out of 50,000 courses? Well, one of them is doing your favorite subject. So this could be something that you're taught at school. So it could be any of the usual things on your curriculum, like maths, English, science, psychology, design, technology, those sorts of things. So favorite subjects. It could be extracurricular interests. So this could be anything from doing sports. It could be doing music. So anything that you have outside of school that interests you, you could also do that as a subject too. And you might have a career in mind. So some people know that they want to be a midwife or a nurse, and it's just apparent what degree they need to do to get there. So a career in mind is good, but if you don't have a career in mind, do not worry, because as long as you're doing something you're passionate about, you will succeed, and you will have, learning something for 3 years you might think that does seem like such a long time, but if you're really interested in that subject, then you will get a lot out of it. For example, I did film studies, and my job currently is not related to film, but I love film and I studied it for 3 years, and it gave me a great result in the end, because I was doing something I was really passionate about. Some jobs don't actually require you to have a certain degree. They only require you to have a degree. So unless you have a career in mind which needs a certain degree, you know, being a vet or a doctor, then perhaps you would just do a subject that you're really interested in, because then you would get the best out of your studies as well. Or try something completely new. So try something you've never heard of. So it could be that you're interested in a subject area, say, for example, something in healthcare, but you're not too sure. And you might go look at the healthcare options and see what else is available. Because like we said, there's millions of jobs out there. There will be a degree to cover those areas as well. Excuse me. So that will hopefully, again, get you to whittle down to think about the subjects that you're looking at. So do think about those 4 boxes I just said now. And again, it does seem quite daunting, but once you've started thinking about it, perhaps you could make like a mind map or something with the areas that you're interested in. You'll soon bring down those subjects that you'll be looking at as well. It's also worth noting that within there, you have history, for example, at the University of Oxford. That history subject will be very different to the history taught at Leeds University or Oxford Brookes University. And that would also be, excuse me, within that 50,000 courses too. So do look at that too. And the way in which the subjects work is they work in modular systems. So each university, you'll be doing 8 modules per year. And those modules will be slightly different at all universities. So if you have a university, if you're thinking about 1 or 2 universities and you're not too sure, check out the modules that they'll be covering, because it might be that they're covering modules that you're not interested in. Or the type of history you're not interested in might not be happening there. So do have a look at that, because you will have to you will have to do 8 modules to finish your undergraduate degree as well. The course structure can be something of difference. So you have modular. So that's what I was saying with the modules. So you have your 8 modules that you can choose from. How they're set out, some are compulsory and some you can pick. So again, double check with the university you're looking at and make sure the ones that perhaps are compulsory that you're not interested in at all aren't there. They might not be taught at another university, and that might help you choose your way. The length of the course. So do you want to do the 3 years or your 4 years? So that's something to consider completely. You've also got sandwich courses. So that's additional years and placements. So you could do a placement course somewhere else. Study abroad. That's a really great way of experiencing the world. How that works is that you would do your placement or your study abroad, and then you would come back and continue technically your 3rd year of university. So that's why it is slightly longer. Some people are a bit worried about that because they think, I'm not going to graduate with my friends, but the opportunities that you will gain from that time away, the placement or another country would be brilliant. And you can always catch up with your friends the year later. Once they've graduated, they might come to your graduation ceremony too. You've also got combined and joint honours. So you are able to study 1 subject at university with 8 modules, or you could do 2 subjects and you can do a combination of modules. So it could be that you are doing 4 modules in drama and 4 modules in art, or you could do 2 modules in art and the 6 in drama as well. So that's what combined and joint honours means. So if you're unsure about what you want to do and you really love 2 certain subjects, then combined and joint honours might be something you would be looking at. Within the way in which it's structured, you've obviously got the way in which it's taught. So you've got lectures. So lectures are usually where you're sitting in a classroom that has lots of students in it, and you've got your lecturer at the front of the classroom. They'll be talking to you, you'll be taking down notes. Normally you don't ask questions in those sessions because there could be 20 of you, there could be 150 of you, just depends on the subject. Then after that, you'll all be broken up into smaller groups of people, which are called seminars. And this is where your lecturer will be there to talk to you. So you could have written something down in the lecture and said, I don't understand that, I'm going to ask that to the seminar. You then ask the seminar, the lecturer within the seminar, and you have a group discussion about it. That's usually how the lectures and seminars work and how they're different. There could be lab work as well, so working in the skills lab, you could be working in the computer lab. So have a look at what your university subject will entail too. The contact time, so that means the time which you will spend with a lecturer in class. For example, it could be that you're only in on a Monday for 1 hour, but you might be in on a Thursday for 4 hours. The contact time differs per subject and also differs per university too. And it will change per module as well. So it really is something to have a look at, but you're looking at higher contact time for sort of down the medical areas as well. The assessment, so each module is assessed very differently. For example, just during my master's, I've not actually done a single exam, but I've done coursework, I've done presentations, and I've also done, I've had to make a video. So the assessments are different depending on the subject. So these can change. So you can actually find out what the assessment is going to be like online too. So you can have a look and you can actually pick and do a whole 3 years of university and not do a single exam. Because some people just don't do well in exams. Some people are better doing verbal exams or coursework. So universities, you can tailor them to suit the way you work best, which is a really important thing to take away with. And class sizes. Some people work really well in large classes. Some people work well in smaller classes. So have a look, contact the university and find out what the class sizes are going to be like, because you want the best out of what you're doing at university. And if a class size being too big where you're not going to be able to ask any questions or feel like you haven't got much time with the lecturer, that might not be suitable for your teaching, for your learning styles. But going to a university where there's less people, there's this class size is smaller, and you feel that you've got this more one-to-one with the classes, then that might be better for you as well. I feel that I hope I don't feel like I'm repeating myself with saying it, but it's just really important to know that universities are so different and the courses are so different that it is really about research to try and find what is best suited to your young person. And you can help them along the way with looking online, going to open days. Open days are fantastic because it means you can actually talk to the lecturers in person, and you could say something like, I struggle with this, would your lecture suit me? And they might be able to give you some reassurance that that would be the correct university to go to as well. And if it's not, then you can try another open day too. Outside of the academic activities, there's obviously university is important, the subject is important, but also so is the socialising, the part-time work, the trips, the clubs, the societies. It's worth noting that part-time work is something that most students do because it allows them to fund their social side, it pays for their rent, it also pays for their bills on top of their maintenance loan if that's how they want to do it. Many places that have larger companies, for example, McDonald's or Sainsbury's, Tesco's, those sorts of places, they will allow young people to transfer across to the area, to the company within that city that they're working from. So for example, if you work in Sainsbury's in Swindon, then Sainsbury's in Oxford will allow you to transfer. And they're also very conscious that you will be students, so they allow you to pick your timings and your schedules around your studying, because that's obviously what you're there for to do. It also means that you're able to move across back during Easter and Christmas, and you can work back, so you're never really out of work, so don't worry about that. Volunteering is something a lot of people like to do because it allows them to have the freedom of supporting some charities that they want to do. It also might be something that benefits them through their subject and their course, and it also means that there might be a job in there after they've graduated with that company if they've shown a really great support for that area. So volunteering is something that is really highly valued too. Trips come frequently within university, whether that is subject trips or whether that's within your club or societies. So it could be a hockey trip, it could be a ski trip, it could be a history trip. All these trips are available. You don't have to go on all of them because some of them might cost money and it might not be viable at the time. but the clubs and trips are there for you to do and join, and will give you a really good experience if you can go on them. I also know that some universities offer support financially to cover some of these trips that you might want to go on too. So again, it's worth getting in contact with the universities for this information. And student life. So we touched slightly on societies earlier. So societies are groups of like-minded people doing like-minded interests and activities. We're going to go further onto societies in a minute, and they're run by the Students' Union, and usually they put on lots of events for students too, and these events are run by students and the societies, and they're based on the subject area, or it could be based on the activity that you're interested in as well. And then you've got your accommodation. So accommodation is an important factor of university. There's lots of accommodation to look at. And again, it is all based on what we spoke about earlier, is the distance for the campus, the size, how much it costs, where it's located. So there are things to think about when it comes to accommodation as well. And this is, I'm just going to show you a brief video of a campus tour of Oxford Brookes. I'm not going to show you all of it because it's quite long, but just to give you a gist of a campus and how it feels in terms of size.
Hannah, I just want to check, is it meant to be playing sound while it's playing?
No sound. That's quite a long video for everybody, and that will be available online, but it just gives an idea of a campus and how it could all be set out. So like, it shows you how everything is connected, how there's lots of study spaces, and like I said, that's just an example of Oxford Brookes University. It'll be very different at other universities. It could be a lot smaller, but usually everything is in the main campus. There'll be cafes, there'll be bathrooms to use, sometimes there's showers, there you've got your accommodation, you've got your gym and your library. So that just gives a brief example of it. And we haven't got too long left. I want to take some questions, but the universities have students' unions. So just as an example from Brookes, so it is representation by students for the students. So that means it offers advice, and the advice is available from finances. It could be any concerns that you might have. It also might be areas of well-being, you know, if you're missing home. The Students' Union is there to support students while they're away, because we know that moving away to university, or even just attending university, can be quite daunting and quite scary for a lot of people. So the availability, the support that's available at all universities will be great, and the Students' Union is there for students to help them with that. They're also there for the societies, like we said, so it's a really great way to mix with new people, make new friends. It happens at the beginning of the semester. You will go to a freshers fair, and this is a fair, you might have seen it. My example is Pitch Perfect, where they're signing up for the acapellas. I don't know if you've seen that, or Monsters Inc. University, and they have all these societies in a room, or it could be outside, and people are there advertising their societies, and they can be cultural societies, they can be class-based, or they can be extreme sports. They completely vary. If there's something that you're interested in, have a look at your university. They will have a list of the societies that are available. It could be Pokemon Club, like, they are all so vast. If they don't have a society based on your interests, then the chances are they will allow you to start up a society if you have, I think Oxford Brookes, it's 20 people who would like to join that society. So you can create something completely new. Some really good girlfriends of mine created the Cake Society, and they ended up being, won lots of awards because lots of the other societies really wanted cakes made for their activities. So they joined together. So that was just people who are passionate about baking as well. So do have a look at what your student union offers too, because that is the sort of social side of university. Here's just some examples. So you've got your subject based, you've got your hobbies and interests, you've got your performance arts, liberation ones, culture and faith, and politics. That's just an example of what we have. So as you can see, there's lots of cultural ones, which is brilliant. Politics, 31 subjects. So it's a complete range of societies that are available, and anybody can attend these. You can apply to as many as you want, and it just means that you'll be meeting lots of people, which is really, really wonderful. We have a societies video, but unfortunately we don't have time to show it, but it just gives an example of the societies that are available at Oxford Brookes. And I think David pointed out that the sound's not working. So I'll make sure that video is sent round at a later date too. And just to finish off, these are the top tips for the university as well. So be open to new experiences. So make sure your young person is looking at experiences with an open eye. Budgeting is obviously something that's just come out in the news today and becoming more important as we go on. So practicing budgeting for university is a great way to prepare your young person, whether that is that they are in charge of a bit of money for cooking and they have to budget a meal for the family. Something like that is really good. Cooking 5 meals. I know lots of people do cook at home as well, but you'll be surprised at how many people don't. So teaching your young person to cook some 5 meals from scratch. Again, they could be a very basic meal. They could be cost-effective meal. Learning to cook before going to university is also a really great benefit, because when you go to university, you will make lots of friends by being able to cook for them. And if you're in with people from different cultures, it's really wonderful to learn to cook different meals and try different flavors as well. So that's really a good tip for university. Make the most of your first week, both academically and socially. As much as it is scary and daunting going to university, and I remember what it was like, so I've been there, and I'm sure the others in the group will share theirs too, but you have to get yourself out there. You have to just go for it. And the thing to remember is everybody is in the same boat. There's lots of people there to support you, and you'll be surprised by just going to university and putting up a poster in your bedroom and leaving the door open, how many conversations can be brought up about those posters or the CDs that you have or the DVDs that you have as well. Make the most of the help that's available. So the help is there. It's very different to school, where school tend to support students when they see they need the support. But at university, the support is there, but it's up to the students to go and ask for it, because they are seen as adults as well. So if it is that you are struggling with finances, you are missing home, or you might need some counselling, the help is there, but you have to go and find it. So make the most out of it. Always back your work up. That's something that you guys should be doing with your GCSEs or A-levels, whichever you're doing too. Join one society that's already a hobby and one that's completely new. So again, trying new experiences, being really open to them. Explore the city that you live in. There'll be so many other things going on within the city that are not student-based that you should definitely go and have a look at. That's a really great way to explore the city, because it could be that you decide to stay on after you've graduated because you just love it so much, like I did with Oxford. And it's okay to stay in touch with home. I missed home a lot, but the university supported me, and I went home as and when I wanted to, which you have the availability to do so depending on your transport. The university don't keep you there. You can go home every day if you wanted to. If you just felt that homesick, I wouldn't recommend it, because it'd be great to get to know people, but you can leave the university. People can come and visit you, so don't think it's a scary place. Your parents, your family, your carers can come and visit you when you're at university, and you can go and visit others while they're at university. And the last thing I'd like to finish off with in this session is the Wellbeing. So Wellbeing is a really important team that all universities will have. They're dedicated teams that look after your physical and mental health. They also support for disabilities such as dyslexia. Just an example as well, Brookes has a medical centre on site. So this also includes a dentist. So this is where students can, they swap over they don't have to go home to go to the dentist. or they don't have to go home from medical centre too. Counselling is also something that's available, and multi-faith chaplaincy are on university sites as well, and there's dedicated areas for that too. Again, it's just getting in contact with universities and finding out what support it is that they offer in these areas. That is the most important thing. I realise I've been talking to you for about an hour now, and you might be bored of my voice slightly, but there's a lot of information to be had, and there's a lot of information to take in during these 7 sessions. So if there's anything that you want to repeat or go over again, please do let us know on that email, and we can absolutely get back to you with anything. It can be as specific as you want as well. So thank you very much for listening to that bit. And what we're going to do now as a group of 4, sorry, Pete is here, we are going to take any questions that David might have and answer them as best we can.
Yeah, we've got a couple through. So the first one, I think you did just touch on towards the end. We had a great question, which is, are medical facilities with GPs available on campus, or would students have to find local surgeries during semesters?
That's a really great question. So like I literally just said, is that universities will have medical centres on site, or medical centres that are specific to that university. How it works is the student will then register once they're at university with that dentist or that medical site, and it just means that they have that option to go to them if they need to locally, rather than going back home. And then how it works is with your home GP, you don't go off their register. You can go and visit them when you're at home as well. It's sort of like a little stopover while you're at university too. Good question.
Peter, I saw you raise your hand. Did you have something to add from the Reading side for that?
No, Hannah answered it perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, it does vary a lot from a university to university, so it's always worth just sort of checking in with the university if that's something you're worried about, and make sure that your young person does register as soon as they get there. It's really common for students to leave it till they're sick before they then think, oh, maybe I should have registered, and it's a little bit late by that point. So yeah. We have another question here. What is the best way to slowly prepare for that transition from being a GCSE student to A levels and then on to university?
Brilliant question. I've been speaking all the time, so I wonder if any of you would like to answer that question.
I'll let Helen have a go at this one, I think.
Well, I would say to start trying to develop sort of independent learning a little bit, I think, if possible, to maybe get the student to maybe slowly do a little bit of their own research. Definitely things like getting used to sort of maybe timetabling yourself the sort of study time, rather than just waiting for people to tell you, oh, you should be studying this, you should be studying that. Maybe if students can start sort of going back what they've learned and highlighting things that they're finding more difficult, and actually being a bit proactive. So they're starting to develop those sort of proactive skills of thinking, oh, I'm not so strong at respiratory systems, so maybe I need to do a bit more research on that, or go back over my notes. So they're just trying to get that sort of develop those sort of independent learning, I think. And I think some of it is also being more confident, because I know when I was at university, it's that sort of difference between thinking you're studying a subject, so I did quite a lot of psychology, so difference between, oh, I'm studying psychology, to, oh, I'm a psychologist, and actually the sort of things that I think, if I'm writing an essay and putting forward an argument, that's valid so long as I back it up with evidence. So I think it's also sort of building that confidence. So things like debating can be quite nice if that is possible, if that's offered in school, where they can actually start trying to put forward an argument. If anyone wants to add anything to that.
I thought that was really good. One thing I would add to that was maybe start encouraging your young person to maybe immerse themselves in something from the next step or the step after that. So that might be going along to a talk put on by the Astronomy Society, for example, at your local university. The things like that are a good way of sort of accessing that like next step, and just kind of like making yourself or your young person feel a bit more comfortable with what's coming up in future, either universities or A levels. Just sort of like have a look around and see what's available, and do take up all those offers that are available from schools, from universities, and so forth.
Thanks both of you. That's brilliant.
No, sorry. I think that's it for the questions so far. So unless anyone has anything else to add, or Hannah, if you have anything you'd like to ask us, I think I can see Pete with his hand here.
Sorry if it's a bit noisy where I am. The one thing that the big thing that I would say with you guys, which I was very lucky, and I think also Hannah and the other guys were really lucky, is encouragement. They can do it. Quite a lot of students kind of at this age especially will be turning around and saying there is a lot of opportunity to give up, especially when it comes to if they get knocked back from one university, which inevitably may happen. Don't worry about it. Seriously, just push and make sure that they're doing well and encourage. Well, push isn't the right word, but encourage. Tell them that they can do it. That's what we do as a big part of our job, is encourage the students. Obviously, you've got this fantastic network that Hannah's organised over the next few weeks, where you're going to have sessions on student finance and all sorts of other different things, where we're there to support you. And if you think about any questions over the next couple of weeks that you think will pop up, feel free to ask them. Like, we're all experts in our own field, and we're all here to support you, your students, and help you out.
Brilliant. Awesome, Pete. Well, I've taken up a lot of your time, guys, so thank you again for joining us at 7 o'clock on a lovely evening like tonight. We really appreciate it. And if you can't make the other ones, please don't worry, the recordings will be available, and we are here all the time. So please just email us if you have any specific questions, or you've just forgotten something that we haven't answered as well. I hope these 7-week sessions are going to be useful to you, and I look forward to seeing you next time in our next session. And our next session is with Study and Recall, which is MAID training, and MAID training are very exciting, so hopefully you can attend that one for us as well. And I'm seeing all the comments coming through. That's really kind of you all to say. So again, thank you to my panelists for coming as well. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we look forward to seeing you the next time on the 29th of March, I think it is. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
See you soon. Thanks guys. Bye.